Freedom always comes with responsibility, and this responsibility is there to take care of the vulnerability that comes along. My name is Ladi Ojas. Welcome to Skeletal Leap, a living adventure. Skeletal Leap transforms one's life into a personal heaven. Today's episode will tell you how I cracked the code of instant heart chakra opening. I moved up along the vertebral column through its thoracic vertebrae along the upper back now. I could easily sense its posteriorly convex or anteriorly concave curve along all the 12 vertebrae in this section. As it was an anteriorly concave curve, it never tended to distort its shape via any postural maneuver. But the cervical section with its 7 vertebrae of the neck just above the thoracic section did so. The problem was that this section too, although highly mobile, tended to be postured like an inverted C, which it was not supposed to be. It was actually supposed to posture posteriorly concave in order to complete the upper S shape of the double S-shaped vertebral column. I tried to maneuver various joints with the help of their associated muscles in the vicinity, including the shoulder and the skull joints. What I discovered was that the shoulder joint maneuvers affected the subsection comprising lower cervical vertebrae C4, C5, C6, and C7 alone. Above these, the subsection comprising C1 or Atlas, C2 or Axis, and C3 changed their curve with the movements of the skull joints alone. It was an eye-opener for me. I focused my attention on the lower subsection first. I was on my way to crack the code of instant heart chakra opening. I needed to pinpoint the muscles which were changing the shape of the lower cervical subsection comprising C4, C5, C6, and C7 vertebrae. I felt my shoulders were habitually dropped down and tucked in. I spread them out to do away with my inward tuck. I felt my chest protruding out, taking my arms away from my torso with this maneuver. It felt like opening up to my surroundings. It also felt like turning vulnerable to the effects of those surroundings. Even simply taking my arms away from my torso had the same effect on my chest that protruded out, provided the 3 lower torso chakras were already open. Was I scared of turning vulnerable? I felt so. And that must have been the reason I had unconsciously generated a muscular armor, isolating myself from a perceived safety in my psyche. It was like the posture we adopt while saving ourselves from our competitor's punch in a boxing ring. But it wasn't the feeling of being vulnerable alone. It was also a feeling of freedom coming from doing away with my muscular armor held in place as a habit. I felt I needed to realize that I wasn't in a combat with a competitor in a boxing ring. I realized how emotions played their role in debilitating our body posture through unconsciously perceiving an imaginary threat that wasn't there in reality at all. These emotions are actually stupid. And in their pursuit to keep us safe, they keep us isolated inside the shell created by the resulting muscular armors, turning us insensitive toward our fellow humans. In fact, they turn us slaves to our own unconscious imaginary fears. We tend to lose our capacity to interact with our fellow humans in a spontaneous manner, which would have resulted in instinctually loving them and empathizing with them. It also gives rise to the feeling of keeping missing something all through our life, which we are never able to realize what. It's actually feeling lonely, which almost all of us on earth are victims to. Simply spreading my shoulders out to do away with my inward tug gave me such a huge lot of insight in my psyche. It was all lying unconscious, not only in my mind, but in my body as well. That's why I say that changes in the body have the capacity to bring changes in the mind, exactly like changes in the mind bring changes in the body. But still, it hadn't yet felt absolutely complete in its body maneuver as far as cracking the code of instant heart chakra opening was concerned. I could still breathe through my chest with the help of my intercostal muscles. And it was when I had already opened my solar plexus chakra, turning my thoracic diaphragm relaxed in order to initiate diaphragmatic breathing. I should no more have the option of breathing through my chest open to me at all. In fact, what I had done up to this point was relaxing my pectoralis major muscle via spreading my shoulders out to do away with my inward tuck. But there was something more to be done in order to complete the maneuver by locking my intercostal muscles while breathing. Actually, I had ignored another part of pectoralis muscles named pectoralis minor. I needed to relax this one as well, and this was not to be done by spreading shoulders alone. I needed to stabilize my shoulder blades through bringing them closer to each other, through protruding my chest out even further. That's what happens when we open our arms full to hug someone we passionately love. And as I did so, I discovered I was no more able to breathe from my chest with the help of my intercostal muscles at all. I was forced to breathe with my thoracic diaphragm deep. When I said deep, it meant both a much longer inhalation and an equally long exhalation. It completed cracking the code of instant heart chakra opening, making me both free as well as vulnerable. Download the code of instant heart chakra opening in the resources section of Skeletal Leap Book 1, available on skeletalleap.com/the mind body connection. Let's talk a little bit more about freedom and vulnerability coming together to me on opening my heart chakra here. Freedom always comes with responsibility, and this responsibility is there to take care of the vulnerability that comes along. In terms of our body muscles, it means relaxing the ones which need to be relaxed and keeping them relaxed until a real threat is there to take care of. Please note that I'm talking about a real threat and not a perceived imaginary threat that our mind often falls prey to. Freedom comes through relaxation. On the other hand, responsibility comes through ever being ready for the worst simply because relaxation has turned us vulnerable. In my case, my mind had opted for safety rather than readiness, thus robbing me of my relaxed freedom. Such a postural stance always keeps us stressed all along, except when we resign as a reaction to being overstressed. This resignation is always irresponsible and turns our muscles lethargic in the name of getting relaxed. Hence, relaxation and readiness being there together is a responsible maneuver, whereas stress and lethargy together is an irresponsible alternative. A really relaxed muscle is not only free of all stress, but is also ready to jump into action instantly. On the other hand, a habitually contracted muscle is not only slave to all stress, but is never really ready to jump into action instantly, simply because stress always keeps it fatigued perennially. That's why and how it turns irresponsible. I realized that if I needed to be free, I needed to be responsible too. I didn't need to be irresponsibly safe. I just needed to be responsibly ready for the worst. But there was something left incomplete that was still haunting me. I wasn't really feeling as free in the maneuver of my shoulder blades as I did in my chest muscles. It meant that relaxing pectoralis major had been perfectly complete, but my pectoralis minor was still feeling something missing. It certainly gave me a feeling of freedom and joy, but it hadn't made me as sensitive there as it had done to my chest. I kept wondering what the reason could have been. And then suddenly it struck to me that I was supposed to check the effect of opening my heart chakra in combination with another chakra in the upper torso. It was the throat chakra that I was thinking about. In fact, in all its probability, these two chakras might have been the part of a group exactly like the three lower torso chakras are. I am talking about the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra that I had discovered being the parts of the lower torso chakra group. Let me repeat it once again here. Here is the explanation. Although we have 7 chakras in our body, yet we cannot correctly open them in absolute isolation separately. We can certainly open them in 3 groups in order for each one of them opening properly via their instant opening codes. The first group comprises the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus chakras forming the lower torso group. The second group comprises the heart and the throat chakras forming the upper torso group. And the third group comprises the third eye and the crown chakras forming the skull chakra group. Hence, the code of instant heart chakra opening was perfectly accurate, although it needed to be opened in combination with the throat chakra. It was to avoid the shoulder blades to get postured closer to each other at their bottom ends, or even equally between the bottom end and the top end. The maneuver of their coming closer at their bottom ends felt to me like it was reducing my sensitivity to my surroundings, including my fellow humans. I actually needed to match my sensitivity at pectoralis minor through stabilizing my shoulder blades to the empathetic sensitivity at my pectoralis major through protruding my chest by spreading my shoulders out to do away with my inward tuck. I decided to keep patience and wait for cracking the code of instant throat chakra opening. As these two chakras seemed to be the parts of a group, it would resolve the issue in all its probability, I hoped. Opening my heart chakra had gifted me with all these insights to my psyche along with the relaxed state of my body, which was always ready to jump into action instantly. It was done through maneuvering my pectoralis muscles, including both pectoralis major and pectoralis minor. Hence, I decided to enlist their anatomy and physiology ahead. Innervated by the lateral pectoral nerve C5 to C7 and the medial pectoral nerve C8 to T1, pectoral muscles have 2 parts. Number 1, pectoralis major, that flexes, extends, and rotates humerus, that's the bone of the upper arm, and number 2, pectoralis minor, that stabilizes the scapula, that is, shoulder blade. Pectoralis major is a thick, fan-shaped convergent muscle located in the chest. Its functions are flexion, extension, and rotation of the humerus. It performs 4 movements for the shoulder joint. Number 1, flexion of the humerus like in heavy weight lifting while doing biceps curls. Number 2, adduction of the humerus like in arm flapping. Number 3, rotating the humerus medially like in arm wrestling. And number 4, keeping arms attached to torso like in military attention posture. Out of the above 4 actions, only the second one keeps its associated vertebral upper S shape intact at the C8 spinal nerve to T1 vertebra. The same holds good for the C5 to C7 vertebrae. Its remaining 3 movements tend to turn it into an inverted C shape. Also, when we stretch our body for relaxation, it performs the second action alone. Hence, it's logical to deduce that the second action is the most relaxed state of the muscle. When we make it our first nature, it keeps the heart chakra open. But when we keep it postured like in any of the other three actions, it closes the heart chakra. It does so by turning the upper S shape of the C8 spinal nerve to T1 vertebrae into an inverted C shape. Pectoralis minor is a thin, triangular muscle located in the upper chest under the pectoralis major muscle. It's innervated by the medial pectoral nerve or C8 spinal nerve to T1 vertebra alone. Pectoralis minor is also able to stabilize scapulae when postured like in the aforementioned second action of the shoulder joint. This second action is also the one that we adopt for hugging someone. And that's how we know that an open heart chakra is concerned the most with love, kindness, and compassion. If it's closed, it leads to narrowness of the heart, keeping us emotionally isolated from our fellow humans on earth. Symptoms that point to the existence of the heart chakra, like asthma, high blood pressure or hypertension, heart attack, and heart failure, are all lifestyle diseases that stem from the heart chakra. There is again a caveat here. Do you see a pattern repeating? The heart chakra cannot be effectively opened unless the root, sacral, and solar plexus chakras below it are already opened. Thanks for listening to this episode of Skeletal Leap, a living adventure. In the next episode, I will tell you how I cracked the code of instant throat chakra opening. Be a part of Skeletal Leap community. Subscribe to Skeletal Leap newsletter. Click on the link in the description to subscribe.